Hey, everybody out there in hockey land. We're back for another episode of Five for Talking, where you get 5 minutes in the sin bin for talking. I'm here with Caps, the captain of the show. Today, we're going to have, once again, a mostly Leaf centric show as we're from Toronto. We will have some NHL stuff at the end. Today, we're switching the roles here, and we're going to start off with the Leaf stuff. So, you had some stuff specifically that you wanted to talk about, correct?
Yeah, no, it's just the main thing was, what's going on with that first line, mainly Marner and Matthews. Seems like the chemistry is a little bit off. Um, yes, they have points here and there, like their points per game and all that stuff. That's just fine, but the expectation is they should be tearing it up. They've been playing with each other for years now, and I would think by now, they should be tearing it up, and they're not. You have Matthews. He's got 21 points in 19 games, and Marner with 20 points in 19 games. Point per players, points per game players. But you know, the expectations is they should be doing more. My question to you is, with that information, do you think it's time for them to split up? My opinion is probably switch Marner and Nylander and see how that goes. But yeah, what do you think about that?
Well, first of all, I think they should trade Auston Matthews right out of the gate.
Just want to piss people off again, don't you?
Based on how many goals he scored in 1998, I'm not sure how many goals that is. Do you know? Um,
1998.
no, we should separate. Should they separate them? It's a hard question because I feel like your other option is to play Matthews with Nylander, and they both can produce on their own. But are they going to work well together? I mean, we've seen them play before, and it's not like they don't have chemistry, but I feel like Marner and Matthews kind of have a chemistry together. But the only problem is, are they going to figure it out this year? Like you said, the stats 20 and 21 and 21 or 20 and 19 and 21 and 19. The difference is Matthews scores goals. Matthews produces on his own. Marner does not produce on his own, does not create on his own, really. And they've both been super streaky. Like, if you look at the way that they get points, like there's multiple games in a row where neither one of them will get a point, but then they'll get 4 points in one game.
Yeah, there was one that a few games ago where Marner was getting 4 points in one game and 4 points in another game, and then after that he got nothing.
Yeah, and I think you need to look at that. So one of the comments on the last video was talking about how many points he has in how many games, and like I don't think that matters too much because just getting points isn't going to win you championships, right? Like look at Edmonton; they give the two best players in the NHL, and they don't even make it anywhere in the playoffs. So,
but my thing is that your first line should be the best line,
and
and
I think so too. But
every single night.
here's
That's the
my issue,
expectation.
right? This goes full circle back to where I started in this conversation.
Yep.
If Marner and Matthews are probably a better pairing, but are they going to figure it out? You can't wait that long. Nylander and Matthews are going to get you points because they can both create on their own. They're both going to score goals. If you put Marner with Tavares again and Tavares goes into a goal scoring slump, who's going to score goals on that line? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's a great point. It looks like Bertuzzi is starting to find his game a little bit. Well, he has found his game for the last maybe few games now. So there's that option. But if you recall, like the very first season, Matthews' first season, he was playing with Nylander that first season. And I guess it was Matthews and Marner that went up to the coach and said, we want to play together. And it was then that kind of, you know, uh, um, got the coach to get them to play together. But if they didn't probably say anything, it probably would have been Matthews and Nylander for a
Yeah,
little while longer.
and I know they can play together. We've seen Matthews
Yeah,
and Nylander play. It's just if you're gonna have a goal scorer of that caliber, you don't need to have him paired with another goal scorer, right?
yeah.
That's how I look at it. And Tavares is a good facilitator that I just feel like he slides under the radar. People don't really notice it. He
The expectation with him is he's a point a game player, and he's been that way for ever since he entered into the league. So he's still doing his thing, and you're right, he's flying under the radar. Um, but Marner and Matthews shouldn't be, and they should be tearing it up.
Do
Um,
you separate all the way to a third line?
I wish. Yeah, I mean that's a great question, and I probably should have thought about it even more before filming this video. I really wish they would have had Nylander on that, and they would have kept that line going on a little longer and allowed it to blossom a little bit. Create some chemistry. I wish that would have continued a little longer. Then you would have had that flexibility to move Marner up and down. Um, but that is such a great question, and
Because like
I don't think I have an answer for that right
let
now.
me throw an example out there, right? If you look at Edmonton, if you look at Pittsburgh, they are like right now the Leafs have more of a Washington build from that era where it's like you have Ovechkin out there, but you put him with Backstrom, right? Or Kuznetsov. But you have Pittsburgh where Crosby's playing with anyone who's on his line.
Because he's
Um,
that damn good.
and you have McDavid playing with anyone on his line. You have Draisaitl, anyone on the line. You have Malkin, anyone on the line, right? So, like, what if the Leafs went for like a full 3-line roster? I know you already agreed with me on that, but I just think put Matthews with somebody and Bertuzzi. Put Tavares with Nylander and whoever. Put Marner on the third line with Domi and whoever, right? Camp, Domi, and Marner.
Yeah, it's a great suggestion.
It
You
doesn't
can
necessarily have to be Marner too. I think people feel like we're picking on him. You could put Nylander on that
you
third
could do
line.
anybody, yeah, because you have those kind of options with this team. Um, you know, I'm it's I think they should try it. However, you know, this is one of those things where they should try it at the beginning of the season. I think this year would have been a great year to try that because uh, they have the depth up front where they can actually do that kind of stuff. You can have that thing where you can have Matthews, Nyes, and Bertuzzi on one line. Um, I don't know. That just came off the top of my head, but
I like it.
it's just you have those options. But they're probably going to have to like really think about it very soon because with the way Marner's been playing, and I'm not saying that they should trade him,
No,
wink,
they should
wink.
trade him.
Um, but because we do know he has a no trade clause. But the thing is that I don't know what's going on with Marner this year. It just seems like he's down on himself. He doesn't seem that kind of person that he was last year, where he was just all happy and stuff.
Well,
Just
there
this
are
year, he was
comments.
kind of. Sorry, go ahead.
Who made the comments in that article? Was it what's the coach's name? Bro, my brain is like fried right now. Yeah. Kyle Dubas. Kyle Dubas, right?
Are we talking about Dubas's comments at the
About
late
Marner.
last season or at the end of the season, where he said that he was thinking about possibly trading one of the core four?
Yeah,
And
there was that.
yeah,
There was that. And then I think that comes into this. And then recently, Sheldon Keefe said that Marner needs to step it up.
yes, that was recently
Yeah.
before yesterday's game, which I
So, but I
apologize,
think
I did not see. But yes, that was said before yesterday's game that Marner doesn't look himself, and he does need to step up his game and you know do
I
what he
agree.
usually does. But just
And
it's not happening.
back to what I said
We don't know if
earlier.
he's got like an injury or
Oh
we don't
yeah, it
know.
could be, right? Like look at Connor
Could be.
McDavid. He hasn't been playing that well. Um,
But here's the other thing. Let me ask you a question. Hold on.
Go ask me
Let
a
me ask you a
question.
question. If you got a player of that magnitude, that importance for your team, do you just let him and let's just say he's possibly injured. Do you allow him to keep playing? Or do you just let him rest up and get back to
Listen,
100%? And
I bench his ass. I sorry, that came off like, oh, you're not playing well. No, I sit him until he's healthy because I'm gonna make the playoffs anyways.
oh man, this team scares me right now. This
Listen,
team
this
scares
is
me.
the thing. Look at we need a goalie. All right. So whatever
We need
trade
defense
Marner's
too.
involved in, we need a goalie.
We need defense too.
Okay. Samsonov has one loss, but has a a GAA over 330 and a save percentage under 880. So that's like scary to me. And then you have uh
Joseph Wall.
you have Joseph Wall with like a worse looking record, but way better individual stats.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a toss up because you're winning more games with Samsonov, but he's playing like shit. And Wall's playing better, but he's losing all the games for you. So it's like,
It's crazy. It's crazy. But it just doesn't help the fact that they're not playing well in front of them.
no, that's okay. The
Structurally.
defense is not there, but
Yeah.
you need a goalie.
Yeah.
So you got to make some kind of a trade to acquire something. I think I thought about it. John Gibson is an option from Anaheim. He's a little older, but he's still got it. Why do we still have? And this is an actual question. I
We
don't
do.
know the answer to this. Do we have
Martin
that
Jones.
goalie, Martin Jones? Yeah.
Yeah, we still have him.
Why is he not on the roster? Can we? Well, he has to clear waivers probably. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. He's
Yeah.
got to clear waivers. The fact that Klinberg is on the LTIR, I think they're just trying to make sure if he requires season-ending surgery or whatever the alternative is. I believe that if it comes out that he does require surgery and he's out for the season, I believe that will, and uh, entice the Leafs to like really look at possibly making a trade for maybe a goalie, but definitely a defenseman, a capable defenseman who can play well in his own end. Um, I believe if you can, that'll help. I think that'll help the goalies a little bit by getting some good defensemen that know how to play in front of their goalie. That might help a little bit, but we know, you and I know that they are up against the cap, and they're going to have to be very creative going towards the trade deadline and see what they could do to, get themselves ready for the playoffs.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think if he's out, I believe his contract is like 3.5. That's irrelevant. Klingberg
Four.
4. So that saves you 4 million. I believe they had like 100,000 in cap space. You get you have to move if we're gonna make an impact move, it has to be Nylander or Marner because it has to be one of them because you're not trading Matthews and they're not going to trade Tavares because they're too dumb. Um,
But we
so
know that it's going to be difficult to trade Marner because he's got a no trade clause. We want to make that clear.
yes,
We
but
we
listen,
know
people.
we know that.
Okay, great. He has a no trade clause. Fantastic. You know he can agree to be traded. Like
He can
it's
be
not like
agreed
we
to,
can't.
to
You
not to
can't
be
trade
traded.
him.
Yeah, he can say that he
If
doesn't want
listen
to.
to me, if someone came to me and was like, "We want to trade you," we are actively looking to trade you. Why would I want to stay here? Yeah, I waive my trade clause. Except I'm not going to waive it if you try to send me to Edmonton because that's a
I guess
shithole.
I guess it
Um,
depends on the situation. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it
you
happened that one
listen.
year when they wanted to trade me at Matt Sundin, and Matt
Yeah,
Sundin told them to themselves.
yeah, because he didn't want to go. This is his team.
Yeah,
He's been the
yeah.
captain for how long? I don't feel that way. But anyways, it's like you're gonna have a few in place. I don't want to go to Minnesota. I don't want to go to Winnipeg. I don't want to go to Edmonton. I don't want to go to Calgary. Anywhere where it's like endless winter. I don't want to go to these places. But like,
Mhm.
oh, you're gonna trade me to Florida? Okay, sure. But pack my bags now. No taxes. Are you crazy? I'm going there right now.
It depends.
Um,
I guess it depends on the person. It
yeah,
depends.
but I'm just making a hypothetical point.
Of
Uh,
course.
but you could trade Nylander, and I think one of your defensemen has to go. So let's just say you trade one of those guys. You have the space from Klingberg. You get rid of like Brody. You have enough money to bring in a really good defenseman and get a goalie from somebody. And you need to do both of those. And the defenseman you acquire cannot be William Karlsson. I mean William Karlsson. It cannot be Eric Karlsson. It has to be a real defenseman, like a Drew Doughty or a Yossi or like someone who plays defense.
Yeah, I mean,
Someone made
they're
a
gonna
good
have to
comment
see.
about Devin Taves. I like that.
They're gonna see. They're gonna have to see which teams are gonna be buying and which teams are gonna be selling, and that won't happen until it's like closer to the trade deadline.
I want to see
And
it
those
be
are the teams that
before
they're
the
gonna
end
have to
of the
look at.
year.
What was
I
that?
want to see them make whatever trades they're going to do before the end of the year so they have a long time to play and get used to each other. Because we all know how Leafs deadline moves work and they never work out because nobody plays well together.
Well, some did work out last year. I do tend to agree that they should make their deals well in advance. I still think January is still pretty early. They would have 4 months to figure it out. But
Okay, let's say pre-February.
pre-February. I believe the trade deadline is a little later this year too. I think, if I remember correctly, in
This
terms
is
of. But
something I
that's
will
just a
not
side
look up.
note.
I will
Yeah, that's
not.
just a side note.
I have
Um,
a question. How many goals did Bobby Orr score in 1973?
really,
I'm just screwing with you. Okay, let's go.
really,
Uh, but yeah, I mean, we know what they have to address. We talked about this in like 4 episodes in a row.
no,
Yes, the conversations have got more to the point now where we kind of fully understand what we need to address. As in the beginning, it was a lot more broad into what we were talking about. But I feel like next week's video, we're going to have the same kind of issues because it's that this is what's happening with this team. They
correct.
cannot close out games. They can't.
We
You
cannot
lost to
close out games,
Chicago.
and without Perry and without Taylor Hall. Yeah, they don't give a full 60 minutes. They cannot close out games. It's and a lot of times it's like they're trying to they're always trying to play from behind. It's like they're allowing these teams to get ahead in the scoreboard, and then for the last maybe 20 minutes, that's when they start pouring it on.
This
That's
has
wrong.
been this has been the Leafs since uh the Pat Quinn era. You're losing the whole game, third period. Okay, we decided we want to win now.
Yeah, but anyway, it is what it is.
It is what it is. So I think I'm ready to move on from Leafs. Do you want to talk about I guess you know what? Let's just talk about that article.
Do
I
you have it
think
up?
yeah, I can have it up. Because I think it's rather interesting. I can get it up. Um
The Chicago one threw me off. I didn't realize that they were. I don't know if that has a lot to do with Bedard.
oh, you're crazy talk, brother.
Well, I'm just
Brother.
saying, like I'm trying to figure out what they were last year, and I don't remember what they were last
So
year. But
let's not
it's crazy.
think about last year. Okay, let's think about today.
Of course, no, I'm just
So
saying. I couldn't remember them
I was
last
gonna
year.
actually ask you a question, and it was what team are you the most surprised by on this list?
Chicago.
Do you know what? I'm Philadelphia
Yeah,
because they
well,
haven't
that's
been
pretty
good
good.
in a long time, and it's not like they have a brand new amazing arena or like a huge asset that they're hanging on to. That's like, oh, this team's worth a lot of money, baby.
Yep,
And you're in Philadelphia.
yep. What were they at?
1.7 billions.
Yeah, where were they in the ranking?
Oh, seventh.
Seventh.
That one okay. So and then there was one that I found weird. It's not that it's low, but it's the ranking that it has. So Colorado. being at 15th in a place where hockey's super popular and they make a lot of money out there. Their team is very good. They have
And
a
they just won
great
the cup like a
legacy.
couple years ago.
The arena's still serviceable, and they're behind Minnesota and Vancouver,
Crazy.
and only one spot ahead of New Jersey.
So did we introduce what this article was, by the way? I'm
Oh,
sorry.
by the way, this is how much the teams are worth in the NHL. The valuation of each team. Um, I mean, I guess at the bottom, it's pretty cut and
Not
dry.
surprising at all.
Though the one at the bottom that surprised me is St. Louis, because I thought St. Louis, having just recently won a cup, they have some good pieces still. They're not a low, they're not a garbage time team.
Yep.
And I don't think current records or last season is really like a factor of like what a team's generally worth. They're under $1 billion. I guess St. Louis is like the most dangerous city to live in North America, but it's like that's like another one, right? Like Chicago. So let's talk about the top five. Toronto's number one. I did not expect that.
But the top three, I don't think has ever changed. Like,
I think
I
the
mean,
top five is what I expected. I'm going to be honest with you.
yeah, because I know like Toronto and New York, like they're interchangeable. I've seen New York take the
New
top
York
spot.
is usually in the top spot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every year after the 90s, I'm pretty sure New York has almost always been in the top spot.
Yep.
Montreal. So I'll give you the numbers. The Leafs are number one at 2.65. The New York Rangers are number two at 2.45, which is $200 million difference, which is a lot. You have Montreal at 3 with 2.27. You have Chicago Blackhawks at 4 at 1.84. And that's a big difference there. That's over 400K. And then you have the Bruins at 1.78 in fifth, and I expected those teams to be top five. And then I expected it to probably be like LA, which is there, or Detroit, or Vegas. And then Detroit's really low, but I mean, they're not in like the greatest place to be, especially with how low everything's value is right now in Michigan, especially around Detroit. But they have a brand new arena, state of the art, maybe more state of the art than Edmonton's arena.
No, I've been to both.
Is it nice? Can you tell us about it?
Edmonton's, Detroit's really, really nice, awesome, but I love Edmonton more. I love that.
Thanks. That helped us. That surely helped
No,
us.
but I'm just saying, like, I just
How was the Islanders?
One of the best arenas I've ever been to. It's such a
Yeah,
party atmosphere. It's so open. It's a really nice arena.
I'm
In the
pretty
middle of,
excited. I'm going to Vegas.
in the middle of nowhere, by the way.
Yeah, I'd imagine that.
But really, really nice arena. Are you going to Vegas?
Yeah, I'm gonna go. We have a game. We have tickets to the game already. So
Awesome.
get this. This is things like you don't get this in Toronto. I'll tell you that. We have the standing room seats where you book as a group. It's kind of like a box, but like with your group. It has a all you can eat buffet and all you can drink domestic beer.
Oh, man.
For 200, it was like 230 Canadian, which that's how much a Leaf ticket costs to go sit at the top of the on a Saturday night. And you're not getting drinks for free there. Drinks are $25.
Yep.
Get a nice smokes poutine for $19.99. So you could go to actual smokes and get it for like $7.
Make sure you take some pictures, man.
Well, I will. I'll make a couple shorts. My brother will be there, so he'll definitely be filming stuff.
Awesome.
But yeah, and I expect those teams in the top five. I think it's kind of weird that you didn't expect Chicago to be there, especially considering they're like one of the most major franchises.
I didn't expect Chicago to be there now. I knew that they were there. Of course, I knew they were there like about 5 years ago when Kane and Taves were like the guys, or even longer than that. But I thought Chicago might have dropped off a little bit. I didn't think that they were top five.
Yeah, I mean, at the bottom though, like let's say from 24 down, okay, maybe even from San Jose. So you got San Jose, Nashville, Carolina, the Ducks, St. Louis, Ottawa, Winnipeg, Florida, Buffalo, Columbus, and Phoenix. I find this one kind of weird, right? Because I know, like, if your team is like really bad, like Arizona has been for years, right? That will lower the value of your team. Plus, it's a small market and they don't have a nice arena. I get that. But like Columbus has a relatively newer arena. Their team is not the worst. And they're in an area where they're the only hockey team in Ohio.
Yeah,
So
nice
it's
arena.
like, and that's a really big state, and they
Yeah.
like hockey there. So the fact that it's that low is weird to me. And St. Louis, because the rest of those teams in there are all super small markets. Like St. Louis is not that as small of a market as like Carolina. Well, I don't understand how they're that low on the list.
Surprising. It is surprising.
It's
Looks
nice
like
to see that there's 22 teams worth over $1 billion, though.
yeah. Looks like Pittsburgh has dropped off a little bit. They moved down from previous years. Carolina, I didn't know that they were that low. It looks like they moved up, or no, they're a little more.
They moved up
What's
5
going on?
spots.
Wow, wow, this is a hell of a list.
Yeah, so let's see on here who had the biggest move. So I see Winnipeg went down 6. Dallas went
They are
down
struggling.
6. Minnesota
Winnipeg
went
is
up 5. So Minnesota, without a new stadium, without anything except Kaprizov to speak of, they're not doing well. They went up 6 spots. Right? And the big shocker here, Colorado went up 3. You're telling me Colorado was 18th in value? Colorado.
well. Look at Carolina. Carolina went up. Like
Yeah.
you mentioned that, and I didn't know they were that far down in previous years.
Well,
That's a
look,
pretty
they
shocking.
struggled. Remember, they had all that stuff where if you bought a ticket, they would keep putting you as low as they possibly could in the arena.
Yeah. But I thought they were good enough to like support a fan base because they've been so good
Well,
for
they
many
were
many
also
years.
really bad for a long time,
Yeah, yeah,
right? And their team, they built from within a really strong team through drafting, right? And I think that speaks a lot to what they've been able to do.
yeah. They did win a cup. I thought they would have been able to sustain that.
I
Anyway,
mean, they also made it to the finals and lost one year, I believe, too.
mm.
New Jersey is another team that built really strongly with draft picks. For me, the Islanders are in a weird place because they don't have that much prospect capital. They don't have that much star power capital. They don't have a lot of cap room. They have Sorokin. That's like basically what they're banking on to do everything in net. It's strange. What are they going to do? What's Lamoriello going to do? Probably get a Matt Martin part 2, give him a $5 million contract.
Don't know. It's a good question.
Which team on here? This is the last question I'll ask you. Which team on here do you think should be worth more? I'm taken to the fact that I said St. Louis and Columbus. And while he's doing that, we'll talk about other things like Edmonton.
That's a great question. Pittsburgh. That's my
Why?
pick. Just the history. You know, Crosby's still playing. You know, you got Malkin, you got the star power. Um, you know, I just think that they should be worth more. Those are my
I kind of agree. I know it's a smaller city, but they are all the way on the other side of town from Philadelphia. They're like literally on the opposite end of the state. And they're kind of in an area where there's not too many teams, like directly right next to them. Plus with the history, they're a very popular team, especially because of their colors and the way their styling is. You had Crosby, you had Lemieux, you had Yager, you had Francis. Like they have a history, right? I agree with you. I think they should be worth more. And they've recently built a newer arena, like not super recently, but at least they're not playing in Mellon Arena anymore with that stupid dome, the igloo. Um, but yeah, I don't have anything else. Do you?
Do I have anything else? No, I do not, man. You know, let's you know, all those people that commented on the last video, comment again on this one. You know,
Yeah, please tell us how stupid we are. We like it. Especially the guy with this hat. But
and the
yeah,
guy that knows nothing.
the guy that knows nothing, but he's cute. Anyways, thank you for watching. Genuinely, if you made it this far, let us know which teams you think should be higher or lower on the list. You can find it online for team valuations. And, thank you for watching.